I don't think any of us naturally enjoy waiting in our lives. I really think that we like progress. We like to see movement. We like to see things happen. When we're working towards something, we want to know that it's making a difference. Like we want to see the results, right? We want to feel like we're moving forward in our lives. And when that doesn't happen, it's easier to wonder if we've done something wrong. And I've definitely felt that. I'm sure you have too. There have been seasons where I thought, God, what are you waiting for? Why hasn't this door opened yet? Like, why does it feel like everyone is moving while I'm sitting here standing still by myself? Why does it seem like I'm ready, but nothing in my life is actually changing? Like, maybe you've asked yourself these questions too. And if I'm honest, I used to think that waiting was just one of those like space in between where I was and where I wanted to be. Almost like it was an inconvenience, right? Almost like it was something to get through as quickly as possible. But lately, I think God's been changing the way that I see these things. Because when I read scripture, I notice something. God rarely seems to be in a hurry. Abraham waited, Joseph waited. They all went through waiting seasons. David waited. Moses waited. Every person that you see, the disciples, they all waited again and again. God did incredible things, but almost never did the timeline go the way that people expected the timeline to go. And I think that's a really big theme in our lives today. And that makes me wonder if waiting isn't a detour. Maybe it's part of the journey. Because if God cares more about who we're becoming than simply what we're accomplishing, then waiting suddenly has purpose and meaning. Waiting reveals what's truly in our hearts. It exposes our fears and our need for control in our lives. I'm sure you felt this too, our impatience. And I'm sure many times, just like me, you've probably been impatient in your life. And our tendency to believe that something isn't happening quickly, that God must not be working. But what I think He's doing, His deepest work in our lives, in the seasons that feel the quietest. Like, what if He's preparing us for things that we couldn't carry yet, or teaching us to depend on Him instead of our own plans for our life? I've noticed something that some of the biggest lessons of my life, they didn't happen during seasons of rapid growth. They actually happened when I had no choice but to trust God, when I couldn't face or force the outcome in front of me, when I couldn't solve the problem that I was experiencing, when all I could really do was keep showing up, keep praying, and keep talking uh, to God and wondering how is how I used to do. But I realized it's about taking that next faithful step in your life. Those seasons, they weren't comfortable. And honestly, I wouldn't have chosen them. But looking back, I wouldn't have erased them either because they changed me. At the end of the day, they slowed me down, they humbled me, and they reminded me that life isn't held together by the ability to make everything happen, right? It's held together by God's faithfulness. And maybe that's why waiting matters so much, because waiting teaches us to trust God when we can't control the situation. It reminds us that we're not the authors of our story. We're participants in our story. I don't know if you know that. And that's freeing because it means that we don't have to manufacture every opportunity in our lives. We don't have to panic when things take longer than expected. I don't have to assume that silence means that God has disappeared altogether. Sometimes silence is simply where the roots grow before that fruit comes. And this is where character deepens. This is where faith actually becomes real. The truth is, almost every worthwhile thing, it takes time. You see this tattoo right here? I went out to Los Angeles thinking that, hey, I was going to get a tattoo on the spot. When I arrived at the tattoo parlor, this guy said, hey, by the way, and this was at Black Tower Tattoo Studio in LA, shout out. But when I showed up, Caesar was like, yo, if you want a fire tattoo, you're going to have to wait. And I had to go back home to Texas and I had to wait. I had to wait for him to create the design and come up with a concept and set a theme. He was like, dude, if you're going to have anything worthy of my work, you're going to wait on it. And we're going to talk about it. We're going to go in depth into it. And we're going to like create a story behind this, right? And it took time. It ended up being a masterpiece, but it took time. And the truth is, everything worthwhile takes time. Strong marriages take time. Deep friendships take time. Raising children even takes time. Growing in wisdom is going to take you time. I promise you. Becoming the person that God is shaping you to be is going to take the most time. Why would we expect our spiritual lives to be any different? So maybe the question isn't, how do I get out of this waiting season? Maybe the question that we should be asking is, what is God inviting me to become while I'm here in the process? Because one day, this season, it's going to end. A new door is going to open. A new opportunity will come. Life is going to move forward again. I promise. But when that happens, I hope that I don't look back and remember what I was waiting for. I hope I remember what God was doing in me while I waited. Because maybe that's the greater miracle, right? Not that circumstances have finally changed, but that somewhere in the waiting, I did. And honestly, I think that that's why waiting matters, because that work and that good work, it's being done in you, baby. And I just hope you know that, and I hope you see that, and you gain some perspective here about your life. But hey, I appreciate you just for being here and listening to what we have to say today. I appreciate your time. I hope you come back so Spirit can speak to me and through me to you regarding your situation and mine too. Because hey, at the end of the day, we're in this together, and God's with us all the time. So I appreciate you. I love you. Thanks for coming. Until the next one. Peace.